Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another True Crime Time with Junebug. That's me. And it may not seem like it to you guys, but my setup is very different now. Our dining room table has been moved, so I had to shuffle things a bit so you only see this. Anyway, today might be a shorter video, which is good for everyone. I originally was going to have this be like double the length because it's about two different people. But the more I did research and the more I thought about it, I was like, they're not technically, their cases aren't related. There's only one denominator that connects them, and it's nothing in the grand scheme of things, and when it relates to them, they're not related. So I'm like, I feel like just for each woman to have their moment, I guess, or to seem more respectful, I want to do it. It'll now be two separate videos. But the common denominator I mentioned was when I was doing research for The Lady of the Dunes, I think I did mention in the video how there was two women who they looked into who might be the Lady of the Dunes, and it wasn't her. But then they didn't tell me anything else. They didn't tell me what happens with these ladies, throw me a bone here. They didn't when I was doing research for Lady of the Dunes. But I decided to do research myself and see what's happened with these women. So that's the common denominator. I'm like, I guess they kind of go together, but at the same time, they're not related. It's different parts of the country, they'll get their own separate videos. So today we're going to talk about Frances Ewalt, and this takes place now. I saw different things depending on, the article I saw, so bear with me. This takes place August 19th of 1973, or August 20th of 1975. Just clawed into my limbs, my thighs. So the age of the victim, because I always mention the ages in case anything with children bothers you. So she was either 24 or 26. This takes place in Forsyth, Montana. And the status is unsolved, unfortunately. I also want to note there's not a ton on either case. Just to forewarn you, this will be very short, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for us, but unfortunate for the family. You know what I mean? This woman, Frances Ewalt, she actually has the least info out of the two, so I figured I'll just start there. Now, Frances Mary Ewalt, or her birth name was Frances Mary Collier, and she was born April 25th of 1949. I don't know a single thing about her upbringing, unfortunately. I literally saw nothing about it. I did see she was possibly raised on a farm. That's what I found. So she would eventually marry. That's where she got her last name, Ewalt. And she would have 3 boys with her husband. She actually would become quotes from the article, a small town cocktail waitress. So that seems kind of fun. Again, not much is known. But on August 19th of 1973, or 75, because the articles I saw gave 2 different dates. So Frances was at the Agate Bar on Main Street in Forsyth, Montana with some friends. Now at 11 p.m. she said goodbye to her girlfriend. She said she was going to see her brother, who was a nightclub musician. However, she never saw her brother, and she has actually never been seen or heard from again. Like I told you, there's not much. It went from she's born, maybe raised on a farm, got married, had kids, waitress, she's gone. That's literally all I found for Frances, unfortunately. And case-wise, I don't remember seeing anything about the case, any suspects, or there's just nothing. So she is still considered missing, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and she's actually classified as an endangered missing based off of her Charlie Project page. Now, why is she considered endangered? Well, late at night is a bit suspicious, just for starters. She left behind her car, her purse, her clothing, and paycheck. She left behind everything. 3, she has never touched any bank account or her trust from her grandfather. Like, no money's been touched or used from her accounts. 4, she left behind the 4 young sons, so that would also be suspicious for her to just leave literally everything and her 3 young children behind. Also, she was in the middle of a divorce at this time. Now, just because she was in the middle of divorce doesn't mean that the husband was like out to get her. Unfortunately, we see that a lot in true crimes, but it's not always the case. We know plenty of people who are divorced who didn't murder their former spouse. It does happen, but we also have to understand, like, it's not always the case. It's just thrown out there that yes, she was going through a divorce, so I mean, it is a slight possibility. But also, the final nail in the coffin of why she's probably considered an endangered missing is because her family says this is very odd for her, and they truly believe it was foul play. I don't necessarily know why they think that, if it again stems from the divorce that was happening between her and her husband. I don't know their reasoning, but they do believe it was foul play. Now, from what I can tell, there has been completely nothing from this case since the mid-70s. Like, nothing. I don't even know if there's been a suspect or like a formal suspect, or if I assume they interrogated some people, but there's literally nothing about this case that I could find. I find that frustrating, but I can't imagine what's like the family thinks of that. Granted, I know that just because something isn't available to the public doesn't mean the family doesn't know. You know what I mean? So they hopefully know more and are more like aware of what's happening from the police than we are. I can hope, because this would be insanely frustrating if this was my family member. Now, Frances would actually be 75 this year, so logistically she could still very much be alive. Obviously, we don't know if it's true, but she could be. Now, if you have any possible knowledge about this case, I get it, it's slim. I have a very tiny audience. This is an older case. I get it, but I gotta try. If you have any possible knowledge about this case, please contact the Rosebud County Sheriff's Department at 406-346-2715. Now, at the time of her disappearance, Frances was in her mid-20s. She wore glasses. She was 5'6", 165 pounds. She had red hair, blue eyes, and she's obviously white. Well, I don't know if it's obvious because it's a black and white photo, but you get what I'm saying. And I do want to note that there's little to nothing, obviously, about this case, as we very much know. But I also don't know what's like happened with her sons or her ex-husband. I really don't know. There's nothing to like share with you guys, minus that this woman's been missing since the mid-70s and literally nothing's been done. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm sure something's been done. I just don't see like, there's nothing. You can try Googling yourself, see if there's stuff I missed, but it's just sad. But that is it for this video. Pretty lackluster, even for me, and I usually have some lackluster videos, but this one's just sad and not very knowledgeable. But next video, so technically part 2, I guess, will have more info. It's not a lot more, just to let you know, but it does have more info. Let me know what you think, or if you happen to know more about Frances Ewalt that I just didn't see on the internet, please leave it down below so other people could see too. And see you next time. Bye, guys.